Hi Aries, welcome to your March 2019 love reading for single people. It's Raina here, and happy birthday to those of you who are born in March for your solar return. Oh wow, that's the soulmate card. Wow, it's so funny that these cards stick together. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, so you have, you have several major arcana cards. So, in the middle of this spread is the card that I said is the soulmate card, the Six of Cups. Now, the Six of Cups connects to the sign of Cancer, so that certainly could be a water sign that is on your mind. This is a singles reading, but it doesn't mean that this is not somebody that you've already dealt with. But you could simply be looking for your soulmate, and you're, very aware that there is somebody specifically for you, and you don't want to kind of settle for less. That could be like you're always in the back of your mind. The Six of Cups is a card of the past. It's a card of childhood. And so along the same lines of soulmate could be the one that got away, the high school sweetheart, the college sweetheart. But usually it will be young because it's, these are children. And also this is the card of children. So this could be like, who do I want to make children with? Am I going to just do it with anyone because I'm desperate, or do I really want to do this with intention? And for the soulmate, you may have somebody in mind. I've been saying that in March, there's going to be a Mercury retrograde most of the month. So you may hear back from somebody in your past, and that could spark interest in somebody from long ago. Or simply this card could mean that you are looking for somebody to grow old with and somebody to have children with. And you may attach some kind of spiritual attribute to it and say that you want somebody who's your twin flame or something like that. But that is not necessarily something that can be, seen just by looking at a person. But who knows? Maybe that's not true. Maybe you feel like you'll know when you see that person who they are. And so that's what, there's like this sense of, to me, there's a sense of really wanting a specific thing when it comes to love. In the past position, we have the Nine of Swords, and this is the card of oppression, feeling anxious, well, more like anxiety. And maybe part of the anxiety was because you were in relationships that provoked a lot of drama. And with Aries, that isn't hard to understand. Also, you are the kind of person who enjoys that intoxication that occurs when you're in the throes of a new love. But once you start hanging out together all the time and you can predict what's going to happen, you might start to get itchy feet. You might start to be like, I need to move on. And that can lead to self-defeating behavior. And maybe that's what had been happening, is that you felt like you couldn't break free from a pattern, and that was making you feel anxious. And then you hear from a soulmate. So maybe in that Mercury retrograde, hearing from somebody from your past, it might be somebody who you knew long ago. And you're like, oh my gosh, how did you track me down? And all those kinds of things. But that feeling of nostalgia might be really front and center. What crosses you is represented by the Ten of Swords. I've been getting this card, I think, in the same position. So as a challenge, you may be still dealing with a betrayal that was very significant in your life, Aries, that kind of, even if it's not front and center in your mind, you always seem to remember it, almost like a post-traumatic stress disorder reaction. And you might even think to yourself, what if it happened to me again? How would I handle it? And really, we have to remember that if we allow a negative event to define us to the point where we're like thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want it to happen again, that could be a self-fulfilling prophecy, because the thing that you fear so much could come to pass. Especially based on, you know, sometimes people do things in order to prevent whatever they're afraid of from happening, and it ends up, you know, making it more likely to happen. So you have to heal maybe from something. And part of the healing is maybe not seeing yourself as big a victim. Maybe if somebody did betray you, you could say, well, you know, they did betray me, but on the other hand, I should have known that this relationship wasn't a good one. And I should have just told them, hey, let's just go our separate ways and remain civil to one another instead of staying in a bad relationship. And take more responsibility for that and feel more self-empowered. The advice is the Death card. This is kind of along the same lines of just, you know, making a graceful transition to away from something, realizing something is really over is basically what this card represents. And really realizing that. And the best way to do it, I think, is how I just said, where you look at the situation realistically and then kind of figure out in your mind why it is so great that that happened. And that can make you more committed to not getting back together with a certain person. Or simply, if you were planning on, you know, being with a certain person and now you're apart, of not fantasizing about going back together with them because you realize nothing has fundamentally changed. But even if you're saying to me, oh, I'm single, I have no past relationship that I'm pining away for or dealing with that person, you could still be thinking about that person. You could still be invested in them at some level. And that can detract from you attracting a new partner. So it still is about transition either way. And being able to realize when whatever you had with that person, that type of relationship has been altered, and be okay with it, not, you know, hold it against them. And that frees you up for what the Six of Cups represents. What is coming in is represented by the Eight of Pentacles. This is a card that's called the Apprentice card because it's, you know, learning a new trade, learning a new craft, you know, so in general, trying to do a really good job. So you could, Aries, you could be honing your skills regarding something, and it could just be like throwing all your effort into your work at the present time, and that could be lucrative for you in the future. You might, by putting in that time now, you might reap the rewards later on. So you're being productive, you're doing something good, and enjoying your life in the process. And that's a great way to attract love into your life. And the outcome is the Justice card, and I think in this could be Libra. Now, this could be a timing card too, but Libra is your opposite sign, Aries, and there's like 2 full moons in Libra. One of them is in March, on the same day as your solar return, on March 20th, 0 degrees of Libra. And then in April, there's one on April 19th at 29 degrees of Libra. So that could be a time of seeing, who is the perfect person for you, perhaps, or, having that intuitive hit on what you are here to do, and that how it connects to another person. Because with the 8 of Pentacles, you may be really involved in whatever your career is, and so you may not even have time to be dating every day. You may have so many other commitments, Aries. But at the very least, you're being productive, and it could mean that you meet somebody in your line of work. So that's always a possibility too. But the Justice card is really about fairness. And if you felt like a victim, you'll probably feel like a victor before it's all over and done with. Okay, Aries, that's what I have for you. I hope that you enjoyed this, and if you'd like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.